All right. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities, where we talk about living your passion, fulfilling your purpose, and exploring the possibilities. I am your money mindset dream big coach and podcast host, Kenny Ingersoll. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here today. Sorry, 1 second over here. All right, so a lot of great things. Hope your day is going well. Hope you're having a great week. Veterans Day, so a big thank you to all of our veterans. Thank you so much for your service and all you've done and all you continue to do, and also to your families. I know pretty much firsthand how that is. I've had a family member in the military before. So thank you so much for that. Families make so much sacrifice that often don't get recognized. So thank you for that. A lot of great things going on. First off, where are you tuning in from today? Where are you at today, or whenever you're watching this as it goes out there? Please feel free to comment that wherever you're tuning in. And what are you doing next week? What are you doing today to make next week better? How are you living your passion, fulfilling your purpose, and exploring the possibilities? So please comment below. I'd love that. Send it in the chat here. Excuse me. So a lot of great events going on. As always, episode is brought to you by Ingersoll Enterprises. Thank you for that. Please go ingersollenterprises.com. A lot of great things going on. We have a goal setting workshop going on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. If you want more information on that, go to ingersollenterprises.com/events, and you will see all the info on there. Excuse me. Yeah, so please go check that out. Let us know if you want to be part of any of those, want information. And it's constantly updated because we have more things coming on. Today's guest, looking forward to it, Mohammed Kasujee. Great guy. Excuse me. He's a career coach who dedicates his life to helping live passion-centered lives. After working in a lucrative corporate sales and marketing roles for a number of years, he reached the point where creating an impact was more important than making money. And how true that is. Because the impact, the experiences, thank you, that's the word I was looking for. The experiences, and the knowledge, that's freedom, the things that come with money is more important than the money. So I like how I point that out. We'll be discussing that more. He quit his medical sales role to start a career coaching and consulting business. And to date, he has helped over 100 clients transition into new careers and businesses that bring more fulfillment and meaning to their lives. So without further ado, let us bring on Mohammed.
Hey, Kenny. Thank you for the warm introduction. I really appreciate it, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Very, very well indeed. It's Veterans Day here in the UK as well, so a lot of respect goes out to everyone who served in the military and made the world a safer place.
Absolutely. 100% to them and their families. So thank you. And let's jump right in. I really liked in your intro where it says impact was more important than making money. So tell us how that came about, how you recognized that, how you wanted to change that, and how you went around changing that.
Sure thing, Kenny, sure thing. So, coming from a family where entrepreneurship wasn't really common at all, my goal or the goal or pathway that I always thought I was going to have was ace school, go to university, go out there, get a job, get a promotion, get a house, get a car, have children, and repeat. And I had the pleasure very, very early on of progressing into a really large company called Smith and Nephew within the medical sales environment, and getting a really nice role, which was not only a very high profile and complex position, but also very lucrative. And it got to a point where I was making nice money. I had all the perks that the job affords, like a company car. I was driving a BMW 5 Series and then a brand new 3 Series straight after, and a really generous pension, a healthcare plan, which was really nice, and a wonderful life overall. And it literally came to a point one day where I was thinking about what's next. And the initial thought was about a promotion. How can I get the next step? And then I had a moment, almost an epiphany moment, where I thought, is this what it's going to be from now on? Another promotion, more money, more responsibility, and nothing else. And when I was thinking about my life and what would improve it a lot more, I realized that more money than I was making wasn't necessarily going to make me any happier. I mean, sure, it would reduce my money problems, of course, but that wouldn't necessarily equate to any greater life satisfaction. And that's when I really thought about, I need to do something that creates more impact and more passion. And I was already doing a bit of informal work in resumes and career coaching consulting prior to that anyway. And I just decided to spend more time doing that, and eventually found that it was far more fulfilling to me than a full-time corporate job was.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many little nuggets that you had in there. And when you realize that the more money wasn't going to make the impact, and it made me think of, our will to win for sale. Is your will to be more fulfilled for sale by these bribes, essentially, of better pension, more health care, and I'm not saying those aren't good things, because they are, but at what sacrifice, if you will, because like you said, money itself isn't necessarily going to solve all your problems or make you happier, or make you feel fulfilled. It's what you do with that money and what you find purpose in. You could find purpose in something that really doesn't cost any money at all, or if your purpose is serving others, you use money as a tool to expand the good you do. So I love how you recognize that and were able to make that switch of, what am I giving up for this next promotion? The car is nice to drive, but at what cost? And it kind of makes me feel like we're in a way drowning ourselves, and the money's not going to save us. I think of that scene in Titanic where that one guy gives money to the captain or the main second in command or whoever it was, and then a few minutes later the guy throws his money back. It's like, your money's not going to help me any more than it'll help you. And yes, we're not in that physical predicament as in Titanic, but still the money is still drowning us with, if it's not fulfilling us in all those promotions, the responsibility, all this status that we have to uphold. I've got to do this, and my boss needs me to do this, and this is how the Joneses think I am, and all those things are still drowning us if we're not careful and if we don't recognize that we're allowing it to. So I love how you pointed that out, and that you were able to start helping others transition, because I got fulfillment when I went over that hurdle, just for me doing that was so invigorating, so awesome. But helping others do the same thing makes mine look like nothing almost in comparison, because of how much more fulfillment I get. So talk about how you started helping clients and how you get fulfillment out of that.
Sure thing. I mean, for a long time, it was something that I was doing for free without giving any thought. I always remember very, very well when I was in high school, in my early years, the more senior students who are actually looking to apply for university, they actually used to come to me and ask me for help with their university statements. And I used to do that for free. I didn't think anything of it. And that skill almost of writing well almost stuck. And throughout life, writing resumes, covering letters, and advice was something I was doing informally, particularly with friends and family. But as my friends and family started to secure new jobs as a result of the work that I did, they started to recommend their friends and their family. and it started to expand beyond my normal circle. And I was more than happy to do this for free, until one point, one particular client insisted on giving me some money. She was so happy by the fact that she was able to get a new job when previously she struggled. She refused to leave without giving me some money. And it was at that point where it gave me a bit of confidence to think, this is something that's, of course, I can make a lot of impact and meaning, but I could also be compensated. And then it was a very distant thought at that moment in time, but the thought did arise that maybe in the future I could create a life for myself and look after my family and have a lifestyle I want, whilst also doing something that truly fulfilled me. And so alongside my corporate job, I just started doing more and more of it. I started speaking to more and more people. I started to help them more and more. And the challenges seem to be a lot more, there's a lot of common themes that seem to arise. And the two most common challenges were, number one, once I'd helped them secure a job, they'd say, Mohammed, I'm really happy. I love this new career that I'm in. I want your help. Can you coach me and advise me on how I can get a promotion quicker than I can on my own? And I used to say, sure thing. And the other inquiry was, Mohammed, thank you so much for helping me get this job. Now that I have this job that I thought I've always wanted, I realize it doesn't fulfill me as much as it did anymore. I have no idea what I want to do. Could you coach me and help me overcome this? And those conversations led to more coaching conversations. And I was able to help my clients find fulfillment in those ways. And the rest is history, as they say. It slowly became more consuming and more engaging than my corporate job did. And there was literally a point only last year, actually, where I realized that I could no longer grow my impact or grow my business any further by still remaining in full-time work. And so I decided to step away and take the business full-time and haven't looked back since.
That's awesome, and haven't looked back since. Isn't that a huge relief right there? Just the ability to not look back and just move on from that. Now, when you said that lady insisted on paying you, there were a couple things that came to mind with that, that we often don't recognize. And I know when I first started my journey, I wouldn't have thought of or even recognized. I'd be like, what, it's free? Oh, great, thank you so much, and just went on with my day. But by accepting the money, you added value, you added value by letting her pay you, which helped her to understand that the value she got from you is more valuable than the money she gave you, and it's going to help her grow by recognizing that even more if she hasn't already. Obviously she saw some portion of that, but if we don't take money for our services, in some regards, or some sort of compensation, then we're actually doing a disservice to the person who's receiving our services, because it's not helping them grow by, that exchange and seeing the difference in that value, the kind of to go along with the cost versus investment, or cost versus value mindset. And then on the other side, it's helping you because you could take that money, and put it to work on Mohammed and better develop your skills so you can help even more people at a higher level. And it just keeps going up and up and up from there. So, a couple points that a lot of times get passed up and not even brought about. So, and I love that you were able to do that. And that segues into the next part of doing it gradual. It doesn't have to be overnight all the time, or it doesn't have to be on our timeline or right as we thought it was, whatever. So how was that different than if it was overnight, or what was that like for you? And transition can be gradual.
It's very interesting because it's something that I speak to potential clients with all the time, because the common misconception that they have, and one I also had along my journey, was that having a business or following your passion, it has to be incremental. One day you're in a job, the next day you're doing what you love, and that's it. And that thought can be very, very intimidating. It definitely was for me, thinking, wow, how the hell am I going to make this work? Because when I think of a business owner or an entrepreneur, I think of someone driving a Rolls Royce or a Bentley with loads of money and a big mansion, and all the work it takes. And I think I'm nowhere near that stage, when in reality, the process can be very incremental. So initially, when I started receiving compensation for my services, the first thought I had was, how can I create enough wealth so that my monthly expenses can be covered through the company that I created, basically, and things like mobile phone bill and internet and so on and so forth. And then once I was able to achieve that goal, it was, I wonder if I can make enough income to cover my total living expenses. So not just standard business expenses, but living expenses too. And then once I was able to hit that goal, my next goal was, how can I create enough money to replace my salaried income? And it was at the point when that was obtained, whilst also having 6 months worth of savings in the bank to cover for the time that I would be taking off. And also having a regular, predictable flow of customers, that I thought, now is the time that I can leave, because I've given myself enough money to gamble on myself to see if this works. I can have a rough prediction of what my income is going to be. And more importantly, I'm confident that I can make this work. I'm ready. And there's no other way that it's going to get any better than this unless I invest more time into this. And that was the point that I walked away. But overall, I would say that was about an 18-month process. It wasn't instantaneous by any means. And for anyone considering a similar journey, I'd highly recommend making it gradual, because it's far easier to manage and far less stressful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the journey, you grow so much in the journey, and it's a journey that you need. Some people that seem to be overnight, one of my favorite quotes in that regards is, my overnight success took 15 years. And there's also an image online where it shows what you think it is from point A to point B is a straight line, but it's really got all these zags and crisscross and up, down, and backwards and forwards and stuff like that. But you need all that to grow into the person who you need to become, because the Mohammed 18 months ago wasn't ready for the Muhammad of today to do what Muhammad today does. And that journey was what gets us ready, and that growth and those experiences and the people we meet and the the knowledge we gain, even through our failures. We gain so much knowledge through there. So I love that, and there's so many examples of that. You brought your example as one. I've got a similar example. You think of even Disney and Amazon. They weren't in 24 hours what they are today. There were many times with Disney, I'm sure similar with Amazon, but I know more about Disney, that he almost had to close the studio completely. He almost had to shut down a couple times. So he was like real close to nobody knowing who Disney is. But you think of who Disney, the company, is today, and look at all the things that they've done and all the things they own. That right there is encouragement for me, because I know that, yes, I'm not right there tomorrow, or I don't have instant gratification like if I sent a text on my phone, but I know I'm on the path that I need to be, and I know that I'm still on the way, and I know that I'm not the only one in that boat of, it taking 6 months, 18 months, 18 years, whatever your journey is. So thank you. And I like analogies. So another one I'll use is like a road trip. If I'm from Utah in the US and I'm driving to Florida, I've got my goal, but I need to drive those miles, every little mile, and sometimes there's a detour or a red light or a road closure, whatever, an accident, so I get delayed, but I'm still getting to Florida. So just keep going. I like how you put that, and then being able to grow yourself and impact more people. So yeah, let's talk about how has that been since you walked away. And then let's also talk about, I like how you said when we were chatting before, most people want freedom from, but you also think of freedom to. Let's chat about that. Expand on that for a minute, if you would.
Sure thing. So I'll often get a phone call or an email saying, I hate what I'm doing. I want to leave my job. Can you help me? And we'll have a conversation. And before I get too drastic and talk about let's talk about what it would look like to transition into a new job or transition from a job to a business. It's really important for me to first ask the person, what is the root cause of their frustration? Because most people think, I hate my job. The only way I'm going to feel happy is by starting a business, or the only way I'm going to be happy is to quit this job and move to a completely different industry. When in reality, the first question I like to ask them is, what would you actually like to get freedom from? So when you say you want to leave, what are you leaving from or why?
I
And
love
most
that.
of the time, it's actually not a question of the job itself. It's actually not even a question of the industry or the fact that they're in a job rather than entrepreneurship. What it really comes down to is that, as you spoke about earlier, Kenny, the time or the money that they have, they can't leverage it to do anything. So, for example, a client recently was really, really into sports and loved fitness. And prior to getting into the job that they did, they used to love going to the gym and had a really solid workout plan, 5 to 7 days a week, depending on availability. But the new job was so demanding that going to the gym was very hit and miss. And what they really wanted wasn't a new job, was just the freedom to actually work out every day. So the first question I asked was, how can you create more time in your current job, in your current circumstances to actually go to the gym? Can you maybe wake up an hour earlier? Can you create an opportunity to start work earlier and finish earlier so you can go gym in the evenings, for example? Could you leverage lunchtimes or extended break with your boss? And surprise, surprise, they were able to create the time and go to the gym, and that satisfaction in their job increased again. Now, imagine we went straight to the conversation of, all right, cool, you need to leave. Let's get your resume ready. Let's think about what you can do. It would be very, very likely that they'd go into another job, and without having that frame of reference, would probably feel as frustrated as they did beforehand. So that's the freedom from and freedom to distinction, which I think is really important for anyone who's perhaps considering any sort of change in life, not just in a job.
I love that, and finding that underlying reason, and also what your purpose is that it's aligning with you. Because I'll use another example that I've had. I've had a job that had a major flexibility. I made my own schedule, you know, and that's what I wanted, was that schedule to have the freedom. I could go play with my son at 2 in the afternoon if I wanted, or go fishing for a couple hours during the middle of the day, or whatever, and then I'd get on the computer at 11 o'clock at night when he's asleep. I loved that freedom. That was more important to me than the higher salary I could have earned if I did the same job for another company. So finding those underlying values and wanting freedom from and freedom to is huge. And then to go along with that, part of the reason for the show and my own journey with it is, what is your passion and purpose? And I used to think that I hate my job because I can't do this, but when I shifted, this job allows me some of the resources and flexibility to fulfill my passion over here. It made my job a whole lot better. So I feel fulfilled over here, that I had more enjoyment and fulfillment over here because of this and this or whatever. So I love how you brought up the finding kind of the base cause or the base root reason, or I'll call it root why, if you will, of that, and what they're looking for. Because like you said, if they didn't find that root cause to begin with, they'd had the same problem over here. No matter how many Bentleys or salary or whatever they were driving, they'd still have that same problem because they didn't acknowledge it and you recognize it and solve that, if you will. So thank you for excuse me, bringing that up. And you were able to systemize that career transition when people really wanted to, after they found that root cause, and they had that desire after those base conversations. Speak on that and how you systematized it and made it work for you.
Absolutely, Kenny. I think I've had the privilege of working on this specific type of career transition over 107 times to date, which has been fantastic. And I've seen a lot of commonalities, regardless of where they've started and where they end up in terms of their initial career position and the new opportunity that they take up. And I'd say some of the most common themes that I see are starting off by really taking stock of what is happening in your life and what is the root cause of your frustrations. Like we talked about, what are you seeking freedom from and what are you seeking freedom to do, so that we can make this the front and center of what you're looking for. The second step is aligning that with kind of your strengths. Everyone has this fundamental dream or ambition that perhaps has been squashed away because of stresses, because of family, because of friends. There's always something that we can draw upon. Maybe it's an industry that we'd love to work in. Maybe it's a particular task that we'd love to do. Maybe it's a type of environment that we'd love to work for or in. And it's about tapping into that place and understanding what would actually make that person really excited to get up in the morning and do. It might be a business or it might well be a job. The next thing to do is to align those two things together. So align the lifestyle that they're looking for, making sure that everything they're looking for is coming from a genuine place that they genuinely cannot get from what they're looking for, and aligning to what their true passions and interests are. And once we've done that, then it starts the process of actually preparing to make that happen. If it's something that's quite closely aligned to what they're doing, for example, another job, the first thing we like to do is to take this expectation of what they think this industry or this job is going to be like and actually test it. So I teach my clients how to network and speak to people who are doing the jobs that they want to do and actually find out what it's like in real life. Because we all have an expectation of an industry that might be really glamorous or lucrative. And speaking to people might realize that it's complete opposite. So it's really important to get speaking to people, and using LinkedIn is a wonderful way to do that. And if the expectations still align and they're still as motivated, then we start the process of actually preparing, of applying for jobs and finding these opportunities. We can do that by direct applications, through the relationships that we've built through the LinkedIn connections, going through recruitment agencies, and then working through all the interview skills and value proposition to actually make that happen. And over time, especially if you haven't got experience, if you can show passion for what you do, if you can show a genuine interest, you can show that you've done your research and you've done the groundwork, and more importantly, you're willing to get stuck in and make a difference in your life. Quite often, people really appreciate that. And it's quite surprising to a lot of people how you can move into an industry with very little experience, as long as you show the passion and that you've done some work to make headway. And that's it in a nutshell. It's fairly systematic in nature, and as long as people follow the steps, there's a very, very high likelihood that they can secure a new role, which they really love and they're passionate about.
Yeah, you said one key word there is willing. A lot of people, especially after they see the expectation versus reality, are they still willing to make the changes? And paradigm shifts can be quite difficult to change, depending on how willing you are to change it. It's so easy to get back into your comfort zone and say, I know what this is over here. I'll just put up with it and live on with my life. But the people that are willing, you could see the passion and the hunger behind that as well, and the willingness to move forward, and often it's not just for them too, it's also for other people around them, and I could see, just in our conversation, the fulfillment you get out of helping others, because I don't sense that you're the one that's doing this for the paycheck, as we've discussed before. You get fulfillment out of that because it is so freeing, it is so fulfilling to serve others, and in fact that segues, you have a coaching call for those that reference the show, is that correct? How can people get a hold of you?
Completely, yeah. First of all, I do completely love what I do. It's great. People say I could do this for free. I did do this for free for a long time. I think, just relaying back to your earlier point, the only purpose that money serves, in particularly from the client, is just a filter for commitment. I'd love to work with anyone and everyone, but of course my time is limited. And so money serves as a level of how committed someone is to make a change. And on that note, I'd love to have a conversation with anyone who's watching this and is interested. There'll be no cost for initial conversation. Let's have a conversation about a transition, a change, and see where that goes.
Awesome. How can people get a hold of you?
They're most welcome to find me through my company website, which is mkcareersolutions.com, or if they'd like to reach out to me directly, just feel free to find me on LinkedIn, which is Mohammed, Mohammed. My last name, Kasujee, Kasujee. I'm always open for a conversation through LinkedIn, so feel free to find me there.
Awesome. I am just going to put this. I'll get some. mkcareersolutions.com. Sorry. Perfect. But yeah, so thank you for being here. Thank you for doing that. The value of money is only so good as the purpose it serves. So when we put that to good use, we get more value out of the things we're doing versus the money. And I love how you've demonstrated that and talked about that in several different ways. Thank you again for being here. Thank you so much. Everyone who is tuning in, thank you for being here. Please go to the website, connect with Mohammed, connect on LinkedIn. If for whatever reason you're having a difficult time finding him there, you connect with me and I'll connect you directly to him. But please reach out to him. Take that phone call. Make that choice. Follow his counsel. Follow his consulting. Oh, and remember to live your passion, fulfill your purpose, and explore those possibilities. We'll see you next time.